Hi, welcome back to Bolster Lights. Welcome to our playthrough of Scythe. It's my turn. We've learned how to use the trade action. Let's go and do produce now. So working from top to bottom, we're going to produce on 2 territories where we have a worker. We can upgrade this to 3, and if we build the mill, we can produce where the mill is as well. Alright, so look out for that. Then bottom action would be pay for timber, and that would allow us to build a building, but we don't have any timber right now. Let's produce. Now as it goes, we've only got 2 territories where we've got workers, so these are the 2, and we're going to produce metal in this territory and oil in this territory, okay, on mountains and tundra. That's it, we're done. Characters, they never produce on their territories. It's only workers that are working the land. That's it, that's our turn concluded. Now back to the Automa. This says, if the Automa were the Polonia faction, which is the white faction, they're not, they're the blue faction, the Nordics, we'd be doing this part. So this is hence it's in these parentheses. We'll ignore that. Or make a move with a mech. We don't have any mechs out on the board for the Automa, so he's not going to do that. So it's then a simple move worker once more. Remember, we can use our reference cards to help us. It says select the Automa worker closest to Automa's base. That's this one. Select all the valid hexes in the neighbourhood of any Automa unit. So that's the units, the hexes they're on. That's any hexes they can move to. They can't cross rivers just yet. And we remove any hexes that contain an enemy unit, they're none. Any hexes that contain an Automa unit other than the one that's selected, so not this one. Pick up the selected worker, choose the destination hex, which would be the one closest to the factory. This one's 2 away, this one's 2 away, and then the second tiebreaker is reading order. So this one, we place the worker back there. That's our selected hex. So you can see it's pretty straightforward once you get going. Right, that's his move worker. Then he's going to gain something. He's going to gain a worker. So take one of the workers from his player mat. Well, unlike us, we would gain workers in villages. Automa just places them and gains them in his home base. Next step, it says the Automa gains a mech. There's also another symbol here which says if the character were on his character map, deploy it back to the world, right? But that's not the case. We'll address that if and when it happens. But it says basically gain a mech. Okay. Then we've got the recruit bonus. We haven't deployed any recruits, so ignore that. And this time there's a gold star here, so we will advance the Automa's token up the star tracker. Okay, so let's do this bit first. So we've gained a worker, we'll gain a mech, we'll advance this. Again, these just go on his home base. Back to us. We've done trade, we've done produce. We could now go back to trade if we wanted to, but let's go to move. It says we can move 2 different units 1 space each, or 1 move each. Okay. At the moment it's 1 space, but we do have upgrades on our player mat. There's one here called speed that gives us +1 movement per hex. Look out for that. And we're moving to adjacent hexes. Remember, we can't cross rivers just yet, not until we get this upgrade. There are other ways to move. There's an underpass upgrade which allows us to move between any mountain and any tunnel. And also we can move between tunnels, but we've not reached a tunnel just yet. The other upgrade we got here is disarm, which is a combat upgrade. We'll look at that when it comes. We've also got, we can't do this bit, this is the mine, which allows us to move units to and from our mine once it's deployed, as if it were a tunnel. Okay. So that's a nice little tactical thing. You can effectively use it to jump about the map more commonly, or most commonly, you'll see it deployed on your home peninsula because it's a way to get your workers out of your peninsula when via the mine, effectively digging underneath. So look out for that. But for the moment, we're just doing a plain, straight up move to units. The units I want to move are this worker. We'll move him up here. Once we've got a worker here, we can produce more workers at a village. And then I think we'll move our character. And the character's going to head up here into the mountains. That's our move part done. Now the next bit, we do have a bottom row action we could do now. It would cost us 3 metal, 1, 2, 3. We could upgrade this with an upgrade, which is over here, and reduce the cost down to 2, but we'll come to that when we come to it. Pay 3 metal, and then we can deploy a mech and gain 1, 2, 3 coins. If we'd had this recruit out, we would gain 4 coins. All right, but it's just 3 right now. So let's do that. Do we have 3 metal? Yes, we do. We've got the 3 metal here. If I hadn't moved my character up here, we would not have 3 metal. You only have the resources on territories you control. We control it because we've got a unit there. So we can pay these 3 metals. Put them back in the supply. Deploy a mech. Choose one of these 4. Let's choose this mech, the one that opens up the river walk ability. And we deployed the mech on a space where we've got a worker. And that's what it said. Deploy with a worker, 1 mech, and then gain 3 coins. I'll gain these 3 coins now before we forget. And that's always a good tip. All right? Gain your stuff before you put your stuff out. Okay? There's no order to this, so just do your gain first before you forget. Alright, we've got 6 coins now, and we can deploy a mech in one of these spaces. Let's deploy on this space here. I've deployed him here because I'm going to be producing workers here, and I can transport those workers using Riverwalk across rivers to forests and mountains. 2 forests and mountains. Not from, but 2 forests and mountains. So these are forests. Okay, that's our turn concluded, and move was a little bit more useful to us this time because we had resources to spend, or we could do the bottom row action. Alright, back to the Automa. Draw a card. We ignore this, we're not automata. It's going to move a worker. They still can't cross rivers, so this is really limiting what they can do right now. But they do have a worker to move. Closest to base is this new worker. Remember, it can't cross rivers. The only hex it's available to move to is this one, because it won't deploy to hexes where there's already a worker. So that's the only valid hex, that's where it's headed. So you can see things do speed up once you get going. Alright, next. This says if it were the Crimean faction, the yellow faction, it would gain a coin. It's in parentheses, we ignore it. Instead, it's going to just gain one thing, a combat card. If we'd opened up the recruit for combat cards, we'd get one, but we haven't. And then it says no gold star, we're not advancing this tracker. Right, so all they do is get 1 combat card. Grab it. We don't look at it. They've got 2 now. Right, the more combat cards they have, the more powerful they become in combat, so look out for that. Right, back to us. I'm going to nip back to produce, and we're going to produce on 2 hexes. I can't do this part still because it costs timber, which I don't have. I'm going to choose this hex and this hex. This hex produces oil. This hex produces workers. So I grab a worker from my player mat, the leftmost worker. Okay, and that's important because as these workers get deployed, they're revealing costs. Okay, so the produce cost gets higher the further you go down. This first one doesn't reveal anything, so it's going to cost nothing to produce still. All right. First worker, and we're going to place it in the village where we produced it. Just here. Good stuff. All right, now we've got 2 oil resources, which I might find useful. All right, back to the Automa. Okay, we've got a different action now, one that we've not seen before. Let's have a quick look. This is called an encounter factory action. It's possible we can't do this, in which case we'd be moving the character, but let's see. We would select the Automa character. Valid hexes would be in the neighbourhood of any Automa unit, and either the factory or a hex with an encounter token. Alright, let's go and have a look and see if there are any valid hexes for the Automa. So we're selecting the Automa character. In the neighbourhood of any Automa unit, remember it still can't cross rivers, so these ones are all discounted despite being in the neighbourhood of Automa characters. These are all in the neighbourhood of Automa characters. And it said either the factory, which is this territory here, that's not in the neighbourhood of Automa, so it's not a valid hex, or a hex with an encounter token. This hex does not have an encounter token, nor does this one. This one does, so that remains a valid hex. Okay, so we can do this action. It then says, pick up the character. Okay, let's do that. Choose a destination hex. It's a valid hex. There's only one hex, there's only one valid one, and it's this one. Place the character in the destination hex. The character picks up an encounter token. And then it says if it's on the factory, it takes a random factory card. It's not the factory, it's simply this hex. So what they've done is they've eradicated this encounter token from that hex. That's all they've done. Okay, next part. So we've done the move. That's the or, we don't do that because we've already completed the move. Take a worker and take a combat card. We haven't taken any recruits yet, and it will do a gold star, so this is moving one more space. Still doesn't have Riverwalk. Workers go on their base, combat cards face down. They're up to 3 now. Back to me. Let's trade once more. So we pay a coin. We gain 2 resources and place them with a worker. I'm going to take an oil and a wood, I think. Oil and wood. Oil and wood. I'm going to place them both here. Bottom row action costs food. I don't have any, so that's the end of my turn. Straightforward. Okay, Automa. Alright, it's got the encounter factory icon again. I know that there's, you can't cross rivers, you can't reach the factory, there are no more hexes that contain an encounter token, so it's going to do the move character, a non-attacking move character. So we select the Automa character. Valid hexes are in the neighbourhood of an Automa unit or the neighbourhood or base. They have no enemy unit, no Automa mech. Pick up the character, and then it's going to choose a valid hex that's the shortest distance from an enemy combat unit. So, valid hexes are in the neighbourhood. We know who they are. It's going to be these 3 on my home peninsula still, Automa's home peninsula. Pick up the character, shortest distance from an enemy combat unit. These are enemy combat units. So this hex is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're both valid. Tiebreaker is closest to the factory, which is this one. It's only 2 away. So we place the selected unit back on the hex it came from. This is the selected hex, and that's a perfectly valid movement. Okay, pick up, put back. Notice it says additionally, if there's an encounter token there, pick it up. If it's on the factory, take a factory card. All right, but there isn't, so. All right, nice and simple. Okay, next they take, this is the power symbol. They take 1, 2, 3 power and 1 coin. We don't have any recruits yet, and the tracker's not moving. No gold star. Okay. They're blue, remember. Power track is here. 1, 2, 3. I don't want their power to get up too high. The only way to reduce their power is to engage them in combat. If they hit the top here, they will gain a star. Right, back to me. I am going to use an action we've not seen yet, the only one that we've not seen yet, and that's Bolster. It says, pay 1 coin. So I'm using money. Money is points. Bolster, gain 1 to 2 power, or gain a combat card, whichever I choose. I'm going to take 2 power. We've not revealed the monument yet, which would also gain me a popularity. So buildings, sooner we get out, the sooner we can start getting their benefit. Buildings are built using the bottom action on produce. We don't have any wood yet, but we're getting close. Right, so we're going to take 2 power. 1, 2. And then the bottom row action says pay 3 oil, which I do have. I've got 3 oil and 1 wood here with a worker. On a territory I control. Pay 3 oil. 1, 2, 3. And it says upgrade. Upgrade means taking one of these 6 cubes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of these 6 cubes. Any one. And placing it in one of these red spots. Okay, so we're opening up a benefit and we're reducing a cost. I'm going to take this one from the produce. So now that I can produce on 3 territories, not 2 when I produce. I'm going to upgrade this one so that building only costs 3 wood. And that's it. That's my action completed. Back to the Automa. Okay, they've got a move mech. Alright, they do have a mech out in place, so we are doing that. So it's a non-attacking move mech. Select Automa mech. The one closest to the Automa base is the one that's on the base. Valid hexes. Again, neighbourhood of Automa units or the base has no enemy units, no Automa combat units. Pick up the selected mech and choose a destination hex that's the shortest distance from a combat unit. Tiebreaker is closest to factory. Okay. Interesting part here is this valid hexes bit. It says no Automa combat unit other than the one selected. So our valid hexes, remember they still can't cross rivers, would be these 3, still their home peninsula, but no Automa combat unit. This one has an Automa combat unit. This is not a valid hex. So we pick up the selected mech. The one that's shortest distance from an enemy mech is this one. It's moving out of the base and going here. You will notice all the sculpts for the different mechs are different. Very cool. Alright, what did they do next? It says they're going to gain a mech or place the character out if they could. They're going to gain 2 power. Incidentally, it doesn't matter which mech they take because Automa doesn't have these abilities. Gain 2 power. No recruit bonus for me this time. Don't have any recruits. And then there is a gold star. They are advancing up this track once more. Next time they advance, they will be able to cross rivers. Alright, back to me. I think we are going to move. I think we're going to move. So we can move 2 units or gain a coin. Then we can pay metal. I don't have any metal. Remember, I can cross rivers now to forests and mountains. And my mechs can pick up workers. Right, so these guys can move across the rivers. These guys can't. But with the mech, I can pick these up. So let's say I move the mech here, I can carry this worker with me. I could carry both workers with me. So that's move 1. I think I'm going to move my character here. Actually no, let's leave this worker here. Alright, so that's my 2 moves. 1, 2. We don't have any metals, so we can't take the bottom row action. But at the end of your movement, if your character is on a territory with one of these tokens, you remove the token and you draw an encounter card. Okay, Automa doesn't play these, but we do. We draw an encounter card, and the encounter card gives us 3 options. It looks like we've encountered some kind of railway. 3 options are: we could help an inventor install a heavy gear. We could hire an inventor and fund his crazy inventions. We've encountered some kind of inventor. Or we could steal the inventor's fuel source. Gain 2 oil and 1 popularity. Pay $3 and build a structure. Nice. Or pay 2 popularity and gain 4 oil. Which option? Coins or points? Pay $3 to build a structure is tempting. Pay 2 popularity means pull that down and gain 4 oil. That makes me a long way from the top of the track. Don't fancy. Remember, I need to push popularity up because that's going to affect my score big time. Help an inventor install a heavy gear. Gain 2 oil and 1 popularity. I think I'm going to do this one. So it's gain 2 oil and 1 popularity. Okay, 3 to 4. Anything you gain goes on the space where you're having the encounter, so where your character is. Right, so I still control this territory, I still control that oil, but if I move away, I lose that oil. That's it. That's my choice. And this goes on the bottom of the deck. Automa's turn. Okay, they've got an attacking move against a worker or move a worker. Gain a worker, move their tracker 1 space up. So an attacking move is this one. Attacking move versus worker. So valid hexes this time are in the neighbourhood of Automa or base, and one that contains an enemy worker. We know there's no valid hexes that contain enemy worker, so they're not going to do the attacking move. Not until they start spreading down the board, which they're going to be doing soon because they can gain the Riverwalk. So they're going to do a non-attacking worker move. Select the Automa worker closest to their base. Unfortunately, you won't have any hexes to move to. There's only 3 valid hexes right now, and they all contain Automa workers. So they can't move this worker out, alright? Not until they gain that Riverwalk. So they can't even move a worker. So we are going to ignore that part. They do gain a worker though, so that's going here on their base. And the gold star means this moves up. They can now cross rivers. Alright, so look out for it. The Automa is about to start getting aggressive. Now, I'm a little bit in 2 minds about what I want to do right now. I think I'm going to trade for 1 wood and 1 oil. So I'll pay a coin. 1 wood and 1 oil. Automa goes. Okay. He's looking for an encounter token. I think he can do this. Select Automa character. This guy. Valid hexes are in the neighbourhood of any Automa units and are either the factory or have an encounter token. So it's this one. picks this up, does this, does that. Job done. Nice and easy. And that's the difference that Riverwalk makes. It's going to gain the coin and then advance this one more space. Done. Done. I'm going to bolster. I'm going to pay a coin. I'm down to just 2 coins now. Bolster twice or pick up a combat card. I'm going to bolster twice. Up to 5. Then I can pay 3 oil. 1, 2, 3. It's on hexes I control. And that allows me to upgrade. 1, 2, 3 oil. I'm going to upgrade this one. And I'm going to put it here. Deploying mechs now cost 1 less. Yep. Automa's turn. Move a worker, and he can cross rivers. Gain 2 power, move this up. Alright. So let's remind ourselves, because things get a little bit more complicated now. I mean, it's straightforward, I know where he's going, but I just want to show you what it does. So move a worker. Select worker closest to Automa base. There's 2 workers here, so one of these 2. Valid hexes in the neighbourhood of any Automa unit. So that is, consider all of our Automa units. That's all these hexes. The hexes they're on and any adjacent. All the 2 in the neighbourhood of Automa's base. Done. They don't have all enemy units on. They're all still valid. And no Automa worker other than the one selected. We're selecting one on the base here. So not this one, not this one, not this one. Pick up the selected worker. Choose one of these valid hexes. Not in the neighbourhood of enemy combat units. There aren't any combat units around here. Tiebreaker, closest to the factory. Which of these is closest to the factory? This one here. That's our destination hex. That's where our worker's going. So you can see they just want to pick up units and move them closest to the factory. That's all they're doing at the beginning. All right. This is a lake. I can't occupy lakes, but the Automa can. You'll notice too that it's jumped from the base all the way over here. It doesn't matter. They don't move like us. All right. They have this. The rulebook tells us they have this teleport ability. It's kind of like a technology that they've created, but basically they can move their units any number of spaces effectively. Alright, that's it. Move worker done. And it's back to us. And I feel like we've stalled a little bit. Maybe not quite as effective as I want to be. Choices are really starting to open up now about what I want to do. But certainly heading this way, getting some food production sounds like a good plan. I think maybe building our first construction too. And when we do, we need to be mindful of this little bonus at the end of the game. This construction bonus says we're going to get bonus points for the number of buildings we have adjacent to tunnels. That may well influence where we choose to place our building.